It says he represents the Tanaka clan. You don't look like Tanaka.
Shidoshi Tanaka, train me.
What's the whole up?
He says Senzo Tanaka is his Shidoshi.
What's the difference if Bruce Springsteen is a Shidoshi?
Mr. Han, suddenly I like to leave your island. It is not possible. Bullshit, Mr. Handman.
I want you to exit this guy off the premises, and I want you to exit him off his feet and use his head to open the fucking door.
Don't ever do nothing like this again. Come back up here.
You don't have to worry about that, Sheriff.
I'd kind of like to see this town die peaceful.
Fucking honey, Joker. You know, we know you was a punk then, but you're being a punk now. Yeah, detective, come on. Now you couldn't find a fucking Jew in Rockaway.
How does one become a janitor?
Welcome, folks, to the third actual episode of Radio Karate, featuring myself, Fillmore Fingers, a.k.a. Jim Fix, a.k.a. Fillmore, as your host. And with me, of course, today are my stalwarts in embarrassing crimes against humanity, Derek, Cary, and Wayne. Shawn can't make it today. He was putting together some kind of BDSM treadmill or something. I don't know, something that would cause and blinds, something that would cause enormous pain. I'm not sure exactly how, but we're thinking of you and wish you could be on the next one. In fact, we might get Julio the Greasiest for the next one. Michael Rose.
Okay.
He said he's willing to do one. So, and I just wondering what we're maybe going to do with the Punchable Faces in Hollywood again, part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see what there is. Anyway, the subject for today, everybody, is guilty pleasures. And I know personally I found it difficult because I'm not embarrassed by almost everything I own, except I should be. So that's what I went for. Let's start with Wayne. What have you got? What are you picking first? Well, the categories, of course, are music, TV, movies, although I would include books, too, if we were really at a loss or somebody wanted to include something particularly damaging, like the best of Richie Rich or something in their bookcase. Wayne... We'll go first.
Mine's not one. I'm going to start with the least one first, but like I think we said this on the Bondcast that we did before, that like my favorite James Bond movie is The Man with the Golden Gun, which is one that most people hate, but it just I think I saw it at the right age, at the right time, or whatever. That it's been my favorite since I saw it in the theater.
That's my favorite James Bond movie too. So
really, all right,
solidarity.
Are you for real, Derek? Or are you just?
I love that movie.
Why? Because of Hervé Villechaize?
Well, that Mick wasn't that his name?
Yeah.
That was great. Scaramanga was awesome.
Yeah.
Roger Moore is my favorite Bond because he was my first Bond. It just fits everything. It's campy as all hell.
And I loved Fred Eklund so much too. When I was a kid.
Anytime you can stick a midget in a suitcase and get a laugh out of it. Could you imagine in 2020 getting away with that?
It was like, I might be small, but I don't forget.
Yeah, that was the best. And then putting them on the mast. Go ahead.
But then Brett Eklund running around half the movie in a bikini. It's like, you're never going to get that again, you know, in any James Bond movie. And that's like, you know, like I don't know how old I was when that came out. I was pretty young when I saw it, but that's like a fantasy of like every young boy that's what I want to be when I grow up, a guy running around with a girl in a bikini, you know.
Maude Adams too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I would have thought the hook for Wayne might have been Scaramanga with the 3 nipples. Do you remember that part?
Or the Kung Fu girls kicking ass at the karate school, the Kung Fu school, whatever it was.
Yeah. And Chew Me in the swimming pool, like swimming nude.
Chew Me.
The Bottoms Up Club.
In retrospect, it's kind of racist, but
that was the only thing that was like the only thing that would have ever got me to go to Hong Kong was, and then now the Bottoms Up Club is gone. Yeah. So, but yeah, I always wanted to go there and just to see what it's, you know, I guess it's not really what it was like inside, but just to get a shot outside of the place, you know.
Derek?
Oh, it's my turn?
Oh, you're going to say something.
Oh, no.
No? Okay. I was going to mention that my buddy, Peter, he went and did a James Bond tour of Asia. And basically he went to back in the early mid 90s or whatever, when he was able to, he went and saw as many places as he could before they finally got rid of him. He was at the original Bottoms Up Club before they tore it down. He has pictures, but they're all, just like, pre-digital. And he was just about everywhere. And even he was still in Hong Kong when the walled city, in Kowloon, where the walled city, the big complex of that they tore down, that was amazing stuff, folks. If you don't know about it, bit of Hong Kong lore. And it was in the film Bloodsport, which is on my list, by the way. But he was at the James Bond Island. He was at that temple where the karate school, and you got man with guns. So he did everything. He tried to get every one of them, but it was tough. Some things have gone.
Last summer I was in Japan, and I went to the chemical factory, the chemical company, and You Only Live Twice.
Yeah.
And that was that was built on like land that a samurai owned. So like there's like a really nice garden behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a photo like right where Sean Connery stood, in that for that movie where he was walking out of that company. But nobody at the place knew. Like we came in the back door, and nobody in that worked there knew that the movie was filmed there. It was like I thought there'd be a plaque with Sean Connery, but kind of nobody cared.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You're next.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got too many, but I'll start off since we're talking about films. The first one on my list is Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol.
Patrol. Explain reasons, sir.
Well, I mean, you've got a very young David Spade. You've got all of the. Let me see. This was the last Police Academy movie with Steve Guttenberg. Let's see. You have a young. Oh gosh. What's her name? Cattrall.
Lassie.
One on Sex and the City. Kim Cattrall.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very young. So, I mean, plus you've got Bobcat Goldthwait. I mean, you've got, you've got Tackleberry. You've got all the old time favorites from the Police Academy movies. But I don't know. Out of all of the, I only like the ones with Steve Guttenberg in them. After Police Academy 5, they totally went down the tubes. But it's my favorite of the first four.
But wait,
is that the jet ski one? Is that the one with the jet skis?
No, it's the one where the ninjas, where for some reason they wind up on like some kind of old sailing ship. I think they filmed it in Toronto, and so there was like some like old, I don't know, British sailing ship or something. But for some reason, a bunch of ninjas attacked the police officers there.
So wait a minute. Wait, Cary, do you own the DVD, like the Blu-ray?
No, but it's like anytime it's like one of those films for me that anytime I catch it on TV, no matter, what part of the movie it's in, I'm watching it all the way through.
It would be funny if I went through your collection and I saw Criterion Collection, Police Academy 4. Okay, well, let's keep going then. Derek, what have you got up on tap?
My first one it's a TV show. It's a reality show, 90 Day Fiancé. It's basically they follow these people,
you know what,
as they go through the K-1 visa process, and it is like hot garbage from start to finish. It's like 90% of the Americans are complete and total assholes. 50% of the people they want to marry are scamming the asshole Americans just to get to the country, and it's so obvious. Like there's one girl who's this massive hulk of a woman. She got a kid from some guy who they've never shown the kid's father. She lives in a motel, and she meets some dude from, I think, Morocco, who all the pictures of him that they show before we finally meet him is like the female Instagram thirst trap pictures, except the dude's doing them. It's like 3 times less her size. And she, of course, loves him and thinks he loves her back.
Wait, it's called 90 Day Fiance?
90 Day Fiance. There's like 1,000 spinoffs. There's the 90 Day Fiance, the first one. Then there's a Before the 90 Days where they get to meet
And you know
first.
what? Like, I watch it. I've seen it too. I heard about it on Jim and Sam, and it sounds really bad, but you can't not watch it. It's like a train wreck.
Yeah, it is so engrossing. And there's this one woman on there. She's from like the asshole of Georgia. She's a redneck Trump lover.
Angela.
Her name's Angela. Her fiance is this dude from Nigeria named Michael.
That's the one. Yeah.
And Angela sounds like she's been smoking and drinking whiskey since like she was 6 months old. And she's always busting this Nigerian guy's balls. It's constant. Micah, what you doing, Micah? Micah,
you done lied
on
again.
Instagram, Micah. Micah, I seen you liking them pictures, Micah. I want all your phones, Micah.
Jesus
Michael,
Christ.
you done lied again.
The best was when he showed his friends the picture of her, and his friends were just sitting there like shocked. And they're like, "What are you doing?" You know? Yeah.
He's going, I need Air Jordans really badly. No, this is the thing. You've got like if you got like reality shows, they're a whole. What was that one you said, Cary? That one about the pets that kill people.
Oh yeah, believe me, that's coming up next round.
Oh,
That's called Fatal Attractions.
Okay. Oh shit. Well, I don't want to. I ruined it. I'm sorry. I'll cut that out. But we can go into it later.
There's Fatal Attractions about pets that kill people.
Yeah. Oh God. Weren't you on for this one? Oh, maybe I thought we were talking.
Yeah, we talked about it.
I used to watch a show. It was like a unsolved mysteries kind of show. But it was on the Black Network that's not BET. I forget what the name of it is. And it was basically all about women who get involved with dudes who either kill them or kill someone close to them. And it's called Fatal Attractions.
I gotta watch this one then. Okay, well let's keep going. I think that was Cary. So Derek, you're next, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I just did.
Oh, you just did one. Shit, I'm sorry.
Either you or Wayne.
Okay. That is my turn. Okay, I'm going to go with a movie for this one, and I'm going to say Deathstalker. Have you guys seen that one, the first one?
No.
Is that one of those sword and sorcery movies?
Yes. It was around I'm going to say 1980, 1981. Almost everybody in the film, they must all be doing like adult porn, like seniors porn now or something. Lana Clarkson was in it. Barbie Benton, like two ex-playmates, I think. And it's like a total Conan ripoff. But I think Roger Corman produced them. It was produced and filmed in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And you've never seen a shittier film of any type, of any genre before. And I remember that at one point, Lana Clarkson's just there clearly to get laid on camera. And I think by the end, the filming's so bad, the editing's so bad, the story, the accents are shit. It really just looked like they went to central casting. We got a Conan type, and that was it. So there's a series of them up to, I think, 5 or some, and the first one is the worst one. But Cary, are you typing up an affidavit? Okay, hold on. Let me go. Let me pause this for a second. Let me just see here. Okay, 1449. So Deathstalker would be my first choice. Now let's go back to Wayne. Wayne, what have you got for number 2, please?
Okay, next one is one. I just found out it was on Blu-ray, and it's a Lee Majors movie called Killer Fish.
Okay,
you guys ever see this?
Let me look it up.
It's about piranhas, and it's like I saw it on HBO as a kid, and it's really bad, but it's so bad it's good. And it's like they get stuck out on a boat. There's a real fat gay guy that's like a photographer, and it just, if you look it up, it's a riot.
It just says jewel thieves. This is the plot, guys. Imagine you're reading a TV guide. Jewel thieves attempt to recover treasure from piranha-infested waters. Mistrust and betrayals happen amongst the gang in the quest for gold. So Margot Hemingway's in it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And James Franciscus. There's a name from the past.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, from Beneath Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yep, absolutely. This one you saw in the theater, Wayne, by the way?
No, I saw it. It used to be on HBO when we first got HBO as a kid. And I used to make a point. I used to make a point to watch it. I even learned how to play backgammon because they play backgammon in the movie. And it was like, oh, I got to learn how to play backgammon. And I thought it was really cool back then, but it was like the older I got, like the more I realized it was goofy. But the thing is like I said, it was another thing I saw at a certain age that even though like it's goofy, I still like it. So I ordered the Blu-ray for it, and I actually have the Blu-ray now.
Well, you mentioned that, and I was thinking you were going to own one. I thought somebody might have. I didn't even know this existed, but there's a film called Orca.
Oh yeah, I know about that too. Yeah.
Did you guys see that?
Super awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really weird.
For those who don't know, it's another Dino De Laurentiis piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it, but it sounds amazingly bad. The film follows a male orca whale tracking down and getting revenge on a boat captain for killing the whale's pregnant mate and their unborn calf.
I think Orca came out this week on Blu-ray. I'm not even joking.
Oh my God!
I got an email from the record store I go to, Bull Moose Music, and they have I swear Orca came out this week on Blu-ray. And,
it's amazing. So go ahead, Wayne. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, so another weird thing is back, like I collect figures and stuff. So I used to go to back then it was called Child World, doesn't exist. And I used to go with my old girlfriend because she collected figures too. And we were in. I have this weird thing that weirdos always latch on to me. Like my friends call me Weirdo Magnet. So people will just come up to me and talk about like nonsense and stuff. And I was in there, like I was looking at Robotech figures at the time. And this guy comes up to me. He's like, I was in the movie Orca. And
wow.
I was like, yeah. And he's just like out of the blue. It was like the weirdest thing. And he's like, but I'm used to this because this kind of thing happens to me all the time. And I was like, oh, really? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, if you see the pod, this beach, I was at this beach and I was in the movie Orca. And it's just like, well, yeah, good. And I didn't know what to say,
Was it Richard Harris?
Yes.
No, he just he was like in the background. Yeah, he was in the background of just in the background of this movie, but it just like I wasn't talking to him or anything, and just came up. I was in the movie Orca.
Yeah, there was. I'm trying to remember that movie came up in another podcast that I listened to, and I can't remember. I want to say it was Gilbert Gottfried's, but they were saying and Fillmore, when you were talking about Dino De Laurentiis, it was a comment about him, and they were saying, and someone was imitating him, and a quote from him, and it's like, yeah, we make it the movie with the killer whale. The killer whale, he kill everybody.
Well, Dino De Laurentiis was pretty much canon before canon became something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he was worse than Roger Corman because he had a bigger budget for just about everything, and was a complete like dictatorial asshole. But this film had Richard Harris, Charlotte Rampling, like pretty good names. Bo Derek was in it. Robert Carradine, when he was still trying to make his way. But the music is by Ennio Morricone, who just died.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
the soundtrack for Orca was awesome.
Yeah, and
it's not even a horrible movie. It's basically Death Wish, except Charles Bronson is a killer whale. That's pretty much what the movie is, because he goes around and he systematically works his way through all of Richard's friends and colleagues until he finally gets Richard Harris.
See, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but so I can't remember if it's good or bad.
Leg. she's in a cast through the whole movie for some reason. And
now
he comes to her house. She lives in like this house that's right on the water. He knocks all the legs that are keeping the house out of the water so that she slides into the water. Orca comes up out of it and chomps off the leg with the cast on it.
Now she's called Nine. Let's go with Cary. What have you got for your number 2?
Okay, well, we let the cat out of the bag a little bit about Fatal Attractions.
Okay,
and it's Fatal Attractions plural. It was a series on Animal Planet that ran from 2010 to 2013, and it's available. If any of you guys have Amazon Prime, it's free. You can get every episode they make. And the premise is people with exotic pets that wind up killing them or maiming them or, causing general havoc. Three of my favorite episodes, I wrote them down here: Tiger Loose in Harlem, Pet Hyena, No Laughing Matter, and Killer Hippo. And
so funny.
No, and the ones that are memorable, like the Tiger Loose in Harlem, it's exactly what it sounds like. There was a guy in Harlem that lived in the projects, okay, in Harlem, in like a 2-bedroom apartment, and he had like a full-grown Bengal tiger living with him, and the way he got found out was, the guy was just he's obviously a little nutty, but he was a big animal lover. And there was a house cat that was injured or something that he tried to nurse to health. And I guess he brought the cat in, and the tiger's jealous. And then he jumps in between the tiger and the cat and winds up getting bit. And so his brother takes him to the hospital, and the ER doctors are like, Jesus Christ, what happened? And he's like, a dog bit me. And they're like, no, I don't think so. So NYPD goes to his apartment, and the freaking tiger almost jumps out at him, and they shut the door. There's footage of this New York City policeman rappelling down the top of the building, and they're shooting a tranquilizer dart at the tiger. And I remember one of the things, they interviewed the cop, and he goes, one of the things that was crazy, he goes, the tiger saw me and he jumped and he like hit the wall. And he said that the animal was so powerful, he could feel the building move. That's how powerful this thing was.
Yeah.
And so, and then kind of behind the scenes, one of the things they didn't talk about that I read online, in addition at that time to the tiger, he had a 5-foot alligator that lived in the bathroom.
Dr. Doolittle. Yeah, it sounds like that scene from Cat People when they had to tranquilize the panther from outside the window.
Yeah,
the thing went nuts. Yeah,
it was absolutely nuts. And then the pet hyena one was crazy too, because it was like this guy in Miami that he was a gay guy, and like his boyfriend broke up with him. Although they danced around it, but it's pretty obvious what was going on. But the guy was like heartbroken, and for whatever reason, he decides to start raising a hyena in his apartment in Miami, and he was saying that the thing would like get old enough, and it ran around and would just run into walls in his apartment like head first. and then he's like, you know what? Maybe he's getting a little bit too big. So he tries to put it in a cage to transport to, I don't know, a hyena rescue somewhere in Florida. And the thing broke his arm as he was trying to put the thing in a cage.
Wow.
It didn't bite him or anything, but the thing was just so strong, and I guess I'll leave Killer Hippo to your imagination, but it was a guy in South Africa that raised a hippo that wound up getting the best of him when, the thing got too big, and I guess he got a little too frisky and just wound up clomping down on him and drowning him in a pool. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah, but I tell you, it's a fascinating series. The worst part about it is there's one episode about tigers. There's like three or four episodes about tigers, and they got Carol Baskin in one of them as some kind of expert. Yeah, everyone hates her, including me.
Yeah.
No, I realized we didn't talk about this before in a podcast because it was an aborted podcast. That was the one where Derek had taken too many Benadryl and didn't show up. So but Wayne wasn't feeling too great, so we just decided to talk, whatever. And then you told me about this,
voice.
and I said it sounds like a fucking winner, this show. So I definitely download it. Yeah. I downloaded the first 6-7 episodes. I started watching it, but I got bogged down with work. But I'm definitely going to get back into it. Derek,
sorry.
I
was just going to say, did you watch the first one where the guy got his face eaten off by his pet monitor lizards?
Yes. It's awful. Maybe we're bad people for laughing at this, but the premises. Imagine if you read this in TV Guide.
Oh yeah.
Synopsis.
Oh my God, that'd be worse than those like porno movie synopses you see on when you flick through DirecTV.
Oh yeah. Derek, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a movie. It's an 80s movie, Action Jackson, starring Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
Starring Carl Weathers, Vanity from Vanity 6, the Prince side project thing.
Yeah.
And Craig T. Nelson as this super successful businessman / drug kingpin who also somebody decided there needed to be a scene of Craig T. Nelson being the greatest karate man to ever have a dojo in his study.
I believe Sharon Stone's in that too.
She played his wife, who he killed when she found out that, oh my God, my successful husband is also a drug dealer. So he murdered her and framed Action Jackson for it. It's just the best. Because Action Jackson is every stereotypical 80s cop. He's always doing the wrong thing. His captain's always saying, "You're going to mess up one time too many." Action Jackson.
Was it based on the toy?
I don't think so, because they never. Nothing about this movie should have been a child's toy, because Vanity was a heroin addict.
Yeah, and actually pretty close to the truth in reality. I think she was originally a drug addict, maybe heroin. I don't know if it's heroin or coke, but yeah.
Yeah, and in this one,
she did not look. Yeah,
she looked great.
Good.
She was at the height of her powers, but in this one, she was a heroin addict who fell in love with Action Jackson and just said at the end of the movie, "I'm going to go cold turkey." That was all it took for everybody to go, "Hey, great! She's no longer a coked out heroin addict." And Craig T. Nelson, the best thing about it, the movie opens with these. You think they're ninjas because they're coming into this office or something and they kill everybody in there, but they're not ninjas. It's like this paramilitary hairband who move like ninjas. They have guns and stuff. They're also great at karate, and they kill everybody in this office, and then they stop and pose like it's the cover of a Slayer album. It's just the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, the funny thing is, it made shitloads of money, and this was the way it was described to me. It stars Craig T. Nelson as the embodiment of evil, and Vanity as the embodiment. And the way the guy's saying it, it's like if you took a 1974 like Black Belt Jones, if you took a blaxploitation film from the 70s and decided to release it in the 80s, like literally made it in the 70s and decided. It's not right. That's not the right time. And I remember I watched it on video when it well after it came out, and I remember thinking, this is a perfect 80s film. It should have no excuse to live, but I'm happy it does.
Yeah, it's so great. And Carl Weathers was doing things in that movie. You would think he was a cyborg or something. He's doing 15-foot vertical leaps. He's getting shot every scene.
He was fantastic.
One of my favorite things is at the end of the movie, Craig T. Nelson he's trying to hold up in his mansion now. All of his security are dead, and he's dragged Vanity up to the master bedroom to hold her hostage and get away from Action Jackson. Now, all Action Jackson has to do is run up the stairs to the master bedroom and save Vanity. But he can't just do that. He hotwires a car, drives it through the front door, up the stairs and into the master bedroom to then get into a shootout with Coach.
So now I need to see this.
Joe Silver.
It's great.
No, I've never seen it.
Is this the one with the line "Always bet on black," or was that Wesley Snipes?
That's Passenger 57.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was one of those two. But man, I remember seeing that movie and thinking, like you said, Vanity was supposed to be at the height of her powers, but something was off. She did not look that well.
Probably was high.
Well, no, there was no we didn't know at the time. She was dated. I think she dated David Lee Roth at the time as well, or a little earlier. But she ended up becoming a preacher, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's until she died, she found Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. But this film, I didn't even realize it. Herbie Hancock did the music, as well as Michael Kamen.
And there was a lot of synth.
Yeah, well, yeah. And it was a Joel Silver film, and it reminded me. And when I see his name, I think of that sketch Rick Moranis did on SCTV called the Joel Siegel Show, and he just spends his time yelling shit, like telling everybody, talking shit at everybody, and screaming at people. I see if I can find that one on YouTube eventually. But Passenger 57 was on my list, and I won't talk about it, so I'll choose something else. Because I love the guy that plays the bad guy. I forget his name. Bruce Payne. He was in Dungeons and Dragons. He was in a film called Pirates with Kevin Bacon and Keira Sedgwick. And that's one of my Pirates is also on there as well. But you guys can look it up. My second choice is going to be Fame season 1 and 2. The original TV show.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched it.
I watched it too, so I can't laugh too much.
You'll call me a fag, I guess, but I had a huge heart on. I had a huge heart on for Valerie Landsberg, who played Doris, and I mean, most guys would have went for Irene Cara or God, who was the other one? Laurie Singer, I guess. I don't know, but I
thought you were gonna say Leroy.
He was. It's funny when you watch him. As far as I can recall, in the movie, the Alan Parker film, which is brilliant, but some things they got wrong in the TV show that they got right. Actually, the relationship between Leroy and Miss Sherwood, the English teacher, was actually kind of cool. I saw a documentary about Did you guys ever see Bring Back Blah Blah, the British show? Bring Back A-Team, Bring Back Dallas, Bring Back Fame. No, it's available on YouTube in different sections, like part 1, part 5, part 3, whatever. And it's a guy, the TV host the whole point is bring back, and then it's like something from the 70s or 80s. So he interviewed Mr. T, he interviewed Dirk Benedict for A-Team, he interviewed, he got a hold of the Dwight Schultz, and they all talked about how George Peppard hated Mr. T because he was jealous of him. And that Mr. T, he ran into Dwight Schultz met George Peppard, and the first words were, "My name's George Peppard, and I am not a nice person." that's his word. And anyway, it's fascinating. So he did one called "Bring Back Fame," and it was actually kind of touching because they all admit they were on drugs back in the day. They said with Leroy, he really had a bad end. He became like a male dancer. He got work in Italy somewhere, and then he got HIV, and he died from complications due to HIV. But that kid was fucking talented. They're saying he had like 160 IQ, whatever, but no, like a third grade education. So
that show was huge in England because I remember they had the kids from Fame. They had records, and it was bigger over there than it was in America.
Yep, and it was, but they basically talk about, and they had the guy, what's his name? I'm on Facebook with him actually. He seems really nice. The guy who played Bruno, Lee Cary, and he explained how eventually the producers wanted him to mute his piano strings with felt, so that they would actually put other music on the over the live whatever the filming. And he said the reason why was, of course, they wanted the copyright, they wanted the publishing. They were originally allowed to take part in the creation of the music or the creation of whatever else and share in that. And said no. After a while, it was like working with. It's like everything else in the industry. They want a piece of the pie, bigger piece of the pie. So.
He was the same Bruno from the movie, right?
There were four characters from the TV show that were in the movie as well, and the rest were all just created. And
they
that had
hired a different woman to be Coco, because I guess
Irene
Cara didn't want to do it.
Yeah, because she was pissed. She was pissed. Like they fucked her over the theme song.
Oh wow!
She didn't get anything from that.
You watch that? Check it out on YouTube. Bring Back Fame, and it's fascinating. She's really bitter about it. She sued the producers. She lost, and but anyway, she didn't get a piece of it, and she should have. That was like a $1 million seller Fame.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it sounds like there's a series on TV One called Unsung, and it kind of talks about that. Like a lot of artists, old artists, you know, that've kind of fallen by the wayside or you haven't heard from before, and that story sounds so similar because I'd say of those shows, probably a third are the record label jerked me. The other third is drugs, and then the other third is like bad management.
Oh yeah. Like TLC, the group, they must have sold, I don't know, 40 million records, but went bankrupt.
Right.
Like they really had no money because the record label fucked them completely. It's story.
Pebbles. It was Pebbles.
Yeah, Babyface's wife.
Yeah, L.A. Reid and yeah, exactly. Wait, was it L.A. Reid and Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. They really did it to those girls.
And they were really astoundingly fucking talented. Like as a group, such appeal, man. I love their first two albums. Their third one wasn't too bad either. Let's go back to Wayne. I believe you got your number 3.
Okay, I guess since we're on music, I'm going to bring up a show that's really bad, but I watched like every episode for it. And this could be the first one you guys say fag, you know, but I was really big on S Club 7. It was, I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like, I think it was done by the guy that created the Spice Girls. But I have the albums. I have the albums, the solo albums of them. But I used to get home from work in the morning. I was working third shift at that time, and it was on. And I started watching the show, and then I ended up watching the whole thing right through. And,
S Club 7, yeah. Simon Fuller was the producer and creator of the show.
Yeah.
And yeah,
let's see. Was it a boy band? It's not the one where they.
No.
Okay.
It was like boys and girls. It was kind of like, but it was like the Spice Girls if they added a couple of guys in the group.
Right.
And there was somebody famous that was on it. Somebody from like a group, and I vaguely remember it. It was somebody from like an '80s group. What's her name?
She's
the girl from D-Mob. I think she was in
Tina Barrett, Hannah Spirit.
She was like the manager.
No idea. I know the only reason I know them is because I've got a friend who's into Pet Shop Boys, anything British. He'll pretty much like
that's
Robbie
me.
and Fruity, and so he's got the Robbie Williams swing album, like the jazz album.
Yeah, me too.
And but no, I mean, Christ, we said music was part of it. I mean, I do have one of them. I do have one on my list that you guys will laugh at. But anyway,
like I've heard of S Club 7, but I don't actually. I can't remember what a song the girl was.
I think Kathy Dennis. I think her name was Kathy Dennis. I think that played a manager on it. Yes, and she had like some dance hits back.
That was the chick with red hair, right?
Yeah, early 90s, Kathy Dennis.
Yeah, that one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Move With This, I think it was called. I can't remember.
That's the name, yeah. And then, but she was in, like, sang one of the songs for the group D-Mob.
Yeah.
That was the other one, like a house, early 90s, 88 house music, yeah. So she was
All
on
Night Long. That was the Kathy Dennis song.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I had that. I had that CD.
Yeah, I have her CD too. It's got like she's wearing a yellow shirt with a green background.
Right,
good
red hair.
I'm a sucker for a well-crafted pop song, and that was a very well-crafted pop song.
Yep. I like crap pop music, even if it's like throwaway stuff. Like you guys brought up the Spice Girls on the other show the other night with Sam.
Yeah.
And she went off on the ramble, but I liked them. I actually went to see them with my ex-wife and in concert. And I was like, that was the one I told my ex-wife. I was like, yeah, I'm the toughest guy at this concert. Because it was all like little girls. It was all little girls and their mothers, and then me and my ex-wife. And but yeah, so that's what. But they put on a good show. And then they had a thing. I remember there was a little girl standing next to me, and they're like, "Okay, all the guys, like say hey, and the little girl looks up at me, waiting for me to go along with it. It was like really cute. But yeah, they put on a good show. But I'm a sucker for that kind of crap pop music.
Hold on for a second. Let me see what we got here. Since Wayne, Cary, I believe you're next, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and you know what? I just going off of Wayne's. I was thinking, have you guys heard of a British band called Liberty X? That's
yeah.
kind of
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a cover of being like the Human League, Being Boiled, was the background music for one of their songs.
Yeah, they did a remake of a Mantronics song called "Got to Have Your Love."
Yeah, there was, but they also did "Ain't Nobody," but it had the music for "Being Boiled" by the Human League.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was like "Ain't Nobody," that old. It's maybe like an '80s dance song, but that also had the track. The betting track was like from "Being Boiled" by the Human League, the old Human League.
Oh wow!
Before the girls, yeah, but yeah, I know who Liberty X is. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I don't think I've ever actually heard of S Club 7 or whatever. Maybe that's a good thing.
It might be called "Being Nobody." Like the name of the song might be called "Being Nobody."
How perfect.
The Rachel Stevens solo album is good. There's like a song that's on my top favorite songs of all time list.
Do I have to go into my Real McCoy box set to if we're going to go into or Dr. Alban?
I was big on the German Italio dance stuff or whatever at the time. Yeah.
Derek, okay. What have you got next?
Wait.
Sorry.
Wait, I think it was on me still.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh no, that's all right. All right. So let me see. I did Police Academy 4. I've got another numbered series movie. That's really one of my favorites. It's really bad. Ninja 3: The Domination.
Is that the one with the woman from Breaking
yes,
movies?
Lucinda Dickey.
She gets possessed by the evil ninja spirit.
Yes. And part of the fascination is part of it was filmed. The majority of it was filmed in and around Phoenix. And so all of the Phoenix locations, I know exactly where they are. Yeah, but you're right. The premise of the movie is Lucinda Dickey is a part-time aerobics instructor and what do you call the guy that she works for the phone company up on the poles. And so when she's not doing that, she's an aerobics instructor. But while she's up on a telephone pole, an evil ninja is surrounded by, I guess, the Phoenix Police Department, but they must not have cooperated with the filming of this movie, probably smartly so. It's a canon film, too, by the way, Fillmore, and if that's how.
Oh yeah. And there's actually a documentary about Canon I was struggling to find. It was I meant to watch it years ago and never got around to it, and apparently it's incredible. It really is worth watching.
Right. So when this evil ninja is surrounded by these police, they all take turns. I mean, they're all imagine this. These police are in a circle and they're shooting at one guy in the middle. So wouldn't you think if they missed, they'd shoot cops on the other side or something? You know what I mean? So they're all just filling this guy full of lead, but he's still living and gets away from them enough to find Lucinda Dickey, who climbs down the telephone pole, and then he puts his ninja evil spirit into her, and then he goes around avenging some of the cops who wound up killing her or killing the ninja. So and then she gets romantically involved with one of the cops who. You've just got to see the movie. This guy's the hairiest guy in the world. I mean, he puts Ron Jeremy to shame. And
George the Animal Steel.
yeah. And then there's this kind of weird, bizarre sex scene where she pours a V8 on her neck and he drinks it off of her. Yeah, but it's Lucinda Dickey. I had a huge crush on her after Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, and so that's my guilty pleasure. I love that movie.
Well, Derek, I believe it's your next number 3. We're going on. I think we're on the 3s.
All right, mine's in music, and it's K-pop bands, not K-pop in general. K-pop bands, boy and girl, and like I said, I like a well-crafted pop song.
Pop song,
and
yeah.
I don't know who's running things over in South Korea, but those motherfuckers have got a machine where they've taken the whole boy-girl band concept that the West thought they perfected, and they've got that shit down pat with their stuff, and they blend pop and R&B and hip-hop. The dance moves are great. It's just I love K-pop bands, and all of them. I can go from Big Bang to 2NE1 to EXO to BTS and Blackpink. I can. Yeah, me too. I love that shit.
They've gotten way less derivative, if that makes any sense.
What's 21 Pillow?
Okay,
21 Pillow. Yeah, that's my favorite.
In the earlier days, they were ripping off famous pop songs from the 80s like no one's business, and you could hear like Cyndi Lauper getting completely ripped off, Blondie got ripped off, like just about anybody you can imagine, and they somehow got more into hip hop and decided to make it more, what's the word, I guess, inclusive, and so that they could get every single genre of pop, like pop, anything that would be mainstream, and then also added like Chinese members to get appeal to the Chinese market, or a Japanese member. It really, they started, but like some of these big groups have like 12 members.
Yeah, that's what I love about them.
Yeah, like
BTS.
BTS has to have about, there's like 9 or 10 guys in that group, right?
Right,
I think
right.
Girls' Generation had like 13 women.
Something like that. And the only sad part is they get used up and spit out so fast that it's very rare for a lot of them to not meet some awful nefarious end. A lot of the girls, especially, what they have to do to make it is awful. And it's like a factory. They churn them out, and a lot of them are committing suicide now, unfortunately. Like they're 25 and they're washed up. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, I'm really surprised this came up, because I thought I was the only one that listened to this stuff because of I hear it in Taiwan, but actually all the stuff that I really liked is gone now. It was like 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was huge. That's why I have the 21 Pillow. Yeah, that was my favorite out of them. But I like Tiara, and they're gone. And there was like some bullying incident with that group that broke it up. And then and Bomb from 21 brought back American drugs into the country and kind of ruined her. Like, it was prescription meds.
You guys
I guess one of her friends.
I just want to I just want to like frothy pop music, and you guys talking about suicides.
It's really ended really bad because
used up at 25. This shit got real depressing.
K-pop 2021 could have been huge in America, but that YG really blew it. And like what happened in Boston, they started playing them. And I think I talked to Fillmore about this before, that they started playing them on the radio in Boston, but that's the song "I'm the Best." It says like "nigga, child." I don't know. I got the words "nigga," but it means I'm.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So but people heard it as the N word.
N word. Yeah.
And then they pulled it from the radio in Boston. I was like, they were right on the verge. I had a 21 sticker on my car. That's how much I like that group, because. If people like, why do you like them? It's like, I don't know. It reminds me of like the 80s when things were a little bit less complicated and more fun, That's why I latched right on to K-pop when I first heard it, the first few times I went to Taiwan. But, just lousy because they're all either too old. And the new stuff, like Blackpink is basically 21. It's the same people writing for them. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I'm not really big on it anymore. And the first time I saw the stuff in Walmart, and I was already over it. And I was like, well, here it is again. It's like I was, too early on the scene for K-pop, and now it's popular in America, and I kind of don't care about any of these new bands.
Are we ready to go for my number 3?
Yep.
All righty. I'm going to pick Jim Kata, which was one of maybe the most badass looking posters. That's when I first saw it. I go, this looks awesome, because I was I was 10 years old, huge into martial arts films, which had, probably hit their peak in, 10 years earlier or 8 years earlier. I didn't realize it had been directed by Robert Klaus, who supposedly directed Enter the Dragon. But we know after the fact that Bruce Lee directed most of the film, because it was, heavy fight scenes. It was just, he was uncredited. And, and Fred Weintraub was the producer. Same with Enter the Dragon as well. And the concept that a guy is combining gymnastics with karate, and he's got to go to this there's a competition in this fictional country, and where the person who wins, they're granted their life and a wish. And so at one point during the whole thing, when he's in this fictional country, it's supposed to be like Turkey or near Turkey, and at some point in the village, when he's being chased by all these terrorists, there's one of those gymnastic horses. I forget what they're called.
Like a pommel horse.
Yeah, a pommel horse in the middle of the village square. There, for some reason, there happens to be a pommel horse, which he starts doing all these flips and stuff, and each flip ends in a kick, knocking someone out. So as they're attacking him, for some reason, one at a time, they all get it. Anyway, I just thought it was one. It's probably still on YouTube. You could find it, and it must have made some kind of money, but it was made with so little fucking budget that if 20 people bought a copy, it probably made money. That's how cheap it was. Anyway, I love watching it for the badness that it is. Like Cyborg, the Van Damme film. Gymkata, Gymkata. Gymnastics and karate. Yeah. Oh god.
Okay, Jim.
Wait. Who was the star of it? It was a guy that won an Olympic medal, right?
Kurt Thomas. He won. I don't think he was an Olympic. He was an Olympic gymnast. I don't know if he won an Olympic medal, but he was at the World Championships or something like that. And I think he's passed away now. He died this year, it looks like, according to this.
What?
June 5th, 2020. He just died last month, 64. Wow. Pan American Games, he won some medals. So he was something of a decent gymnast, I guess. But anyway, I don't think he got another film role ever again. The film earned Thomas a Razzie Award nomination for Worst New Star, and said, but is developed into somewhat of a cult due to cult following due to its unintentional comedy. That's just embarrassing. It said Thomas also starred in the syndicated TV series True Confessions and worked as a commentator for ABC Sports and ESPN. So anyway, rest in peace, Kurt. You did something. You never know what lasts in the lexicon of people, over the years. So, Wayne, what have you got next?
Okay, so I'll start this one off with I'm not a big fan of the Blues Brothers, and I know it's like some people think it's like a legendary movie, and I just can take it or leave it. I never saw the big appeal of it. I thought I don't like that kind of music really, so I could care less. But but the movie that I do like is one that most people don't get is Neighbors. And it's such a weird movie, but I love it. And it's like one of those things that like if it's on, I'll sit there and watch the whole thing right through. It's like I even own it on Blu-ray. Yeah. But it kind of came out as kind of like a weird Twilight Zone kind of thing. But there's so much weird humor in that movie that's just like what I like, that always appealed to me.
Didn't that end up being Belushi's last film before he died?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
and he played the straight man, where Dan Aykroyd played the wacko, and that's why I found it more interesting. But there's like scenes in that movie that don't even make any sense. There's like one scene where he's in the bathroom and you can hear everybody laughing, and there's a dog barking, and they never even show you what was going on. They're all in this room, and the dog's barking, and everybody's laughing, and then he's just looking, and they don't ever tell you what happened. The book, I've even read the book for it, and the book's a little bit different, but it's like you don't really understand what's going on until the end of the movie, that they're not bad guys, And but I mean, it's been out forever, so I guess we can talk about the ending and stuff. But yeah, there's just so many strange things. Like Tim Katarinsky's in it. It just one strange thing happening after another, and it just the first time you watch it is like, they're so annoying, I hate them, But then the more you watch it, the more funnier I thought it was, So that's one that I never hear too many people say they like that movie.
film did shitloads of money. Like it made money.
Really? I didn't know that. I thought it was a flop.
Yeah, so did I.
8.5 million budget, box office 30 million.
Wow.
Maybe it was some Belushi sympathy money.
Possibly. It was released in
I don't know. I think
December 81. It was a Christmas movie almost, so maybe that's...
Yeah, I just remember it getting bashed by pretty much everybody, but I'm glad it made money.
Wow.
But I think there's way more weird. Like there's even little things like when what's the woman, she was in the De Niro movies. She plays like Dan Aykroyd's wife in it. And she shows up at the door and she's kind of standing there sexy, and you hear like this little thing goes, "Fuck you," like a real high pitched little thing, like really in the background, like she's like tormenting him. And there's like so many subtle little things in it that you hear, And the daughter comes home from school and she's like a punk rocker, and just everybody in his family was just an asshole.
I completely mixed it up. Michael Apted directed Continental Divide with Belushi and Blair Brown.
Oh, okay.
That's when I got confused. And that was a drama, so that was no problem anyway. I never saw Continental Divide. People said it was shit, but I still, one of those things I'd like to actually revisit because they said it's better than you think it is.
Yeah, she was in Raging Bull. That's what I was trying to think of. But she played the wife, like De Niro's wife in Raging Bull.
Kathy Moriarty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She played Dan Aykroyd's wife in that.
Love her, actually. Great voice.
Yeah.
We're going back to, let's see, Wayne. So Wayne, hold on. Cary, I think you're next, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, well, I'll do the first one in my music category. And this is another band that you, me, and Wayne were like going back and forth, but we decided to save it for the show, and that's that's Kaja Gugu.
Yeah,
and it's
Miami
either Kaja Gugu or Kaja Gugu featuring Lamal, who was the lead singer.
Hamill backwards.
I swear to God, every time I listen to that song, Too Shy, I swear to God, that sound cannot come from a male. It just can't. I to this day, I think it's dubbed. That cannot be his voice.
Do you think it's like the... Oh, sorry. Do you think it's like the end of, what's that song by Richard Harris? MacArthur Park? Like the last note?
Maybe, but when you were talking about that British show that where they kind of put the band back together, there was a show on VH1 that did the same thing with bands, and I can't remember the name of the show, but it was like
Bands United.
Yeah, they did ABC. Yeah, they did a bunch. Flock of Seagulls.
What?
Right. And I remember they tried to do English. They tried to do English, not English. Yeah, English Beat.
The English
Beat
was
a good one. Yeah. But
Saxo's.
Also,
I think Saxo's dead though. Whatever the guy, the old guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Saxa. Yeah, he's been dead for a while. He died not too long after they did that show. But they put back Kaja Gugu. Believe it or not.
I didn't see that one. That's how much I know about Kaja Gugu. There was another guy named Nick Beggs, right? Because Lamal was Hamill backwards. He was a singer, and then Nick Beggs. My sister was really big into Kaja Gugu. And I had like a 12-inch for Only for Love was the Lamal solo thing.
Right. He also did. He also sang the
Never-Ending Story.
The theme for Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
But the guy in that band that fascinated me beyond belief, probably too much, was the bass player. First off, that bass line in Too Shy is pretty kick-ass. I have to give the guy credit. But if you see his look, like if you've ever looked on the back of White Feathers, which is their album, he's got like these like long puka shell earrings, and he looks like a middle-aged like woman from like a retiree from Florida. I mean that's. And I'm like, is that the look? Was that the look he was looking for? Like with makeup and lipstick on. But it's just like, and again, it's like how this guy, is a kick-ass bassist, obviously, but gee whiz, really?
Did he have like beads in his hair and shit? Like I remember my sister had this album.
Those were the puka shell earrings.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I just remember my sister had the album White, like you said, White Feathers. And I never owned anything by them at all, except for the Lamal 12-inch for Only for Love. That's the only thing. She had Never Ending Story, but that's the only thing I ever owned by him.
I did not realize.
You know what's funny too, because I can remember like in the what was that? That was like mid 80s, right? Like mid to early 80s, like 84, 85, right? Is that around the time?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and my cousin lived in Chicago, and there was a hip hop station there, and she would like make tape recordings or whatever, and they, for some reason, I remember they would play like the instrumental part to Too Shy, and it was like it kicked ass, but they would always cut it off before the singing started. Probably smart.
I used to like the girl in that video. She was like a waitress or something. I forget. I can vaguely remember it now. I'm gonna have to listen to them again, give it another chance. I never really took it seriously at the time.
Well,
probably because it was something my sister liked. So
I couldn't take that video seriously because I think the waitress, the girl that played the waitress, was actually taller and bigger than Lamal was.
Yeah.
That guy must have weighed like 85 pounds, sopping wet.
Oh, it was about how much in that reunion show on VH1 the rest of the band loathed Lamal.
they hated him.
Much.
Yeah.
And he didn't like them much either.
Right.
But because
I think he pissed him off when he went solo.
Well, they became Kaja. Remember, they were just Kaja with Nick Beggs leading them.
Right.
Yeah.
They lost the goo-goo.
Yeah.
They fired Lamal. They told him he had to go.
Yeah.
Derek, I believe you're next.
Okay. Mine is another movie. This one it's a sequel to The Valley of the Dolls, that like super soap operatic film based on the Jacqueline Suzanne book. This one was Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, directed by Russ Meyer of Big Titties fame, and written by Roger Ebert.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is the most bizarre hodgepodge of a movie because it's ostensibly about this band from the Midwest or whatever, this girl band who travel to Hollywood to find fame and fortune, and instead get mixed up with predatory lesbian producers who force them to have abortions and file fake rape claims, like really angry black boxer, heavyweight champions of the world who beat up the boyfriends of the black member of the band just because he wants her and he needs to get the guy out of the way. And craziest of all is the guy who is the producer that is going to make them stars. At the end of the movie, throws this party, and then just out of nowhere, he starts killing people, running around in a pseudo Wonder Woman costume, calling himself Superwoman, with titties, because now we find out he's a transvestite or a transsexual or who knows, but he's running around with a broadsword, chopping off heads, and the shit makes no sense. It was like, I don't know what Roger Ebert was on when he made it, but it must have been some awesome.
That was just recently on. It was recently on one of the channels because I watched it just recently, and it's like it's something I got to buy because that's how good it is. It's so whacked out.
Yeah. Oh, and it stars quite possibly the worst actress in the history of Hollywood. The lead actress, she was British, and she was like Playmate of the Year or something in 1960, whatever. And she was from England, but she was supposed to be playing a Midwestern gal here.
Yeah. Did she pull it off?
Did not pull it off. It's like if you were playing a drinking game, every time her Essex accent came out, you would die of like liver failure. She was just terrible.
What year was that movie? It's like, because I love those movies, like those hippie movies like that are like there's a Jack Nicholson one called Psych Out that's really whacked out too. That's
this one came out in 1967.
Okay, so yeah, Psycho's probably 68, but those two movies remind me of each other. It's kind of the same kind of premise where a girl gets mixed up in some fucked up shit, you know.
Wait a minute. This is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. You said, Derek?
Yeah, because the original was the Valley of the Dolls.
That
was
one,
just a straightforward soap opera.
That one was 67. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is 1970.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I remember it distinctly because Roger Ebert, someone asked him, it might have been Vincent Gallo, or someone asked him, said, how can you review movies? You came up with the script for fucking Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And I don't think he couldn't have come back from that. So, but there's a little trivia in there. You know who's in that film? I didn't realize this. Trina Parks. Anybody know who that is?
No.
And this is a callback. Do you remember, Wayne? I'm Bambi, and I'm Thumper.
Oh, really?
She's Thumper. Thumper has a bit part in it from the Diamonds Are Forever.
Oh,
wow. And Charles Napier is in this. Charles Napier, who provided the voice for a lot of the for the Hulk in the TV show.
Oh.
And he played, and he was in Adam in the original Star Trek with the space hippies. He plays the one with he plays the music, right?
The Way to Eden, yeah. The bike tire.
Is he related to Alan Napier?
I don't know. Actually, he released. He just passed away not too long ago.
Really? I didn't know that.
No, 9 years ago. I guess it was quite a while ago. He's related. Let's see. Personal life. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about. It just says here. He has one son, Charles Chuck Napier Jr. from his previous marriage, and a daughter. He had one son.
I just recently watched that Star Trek episode with like the girl playing the bike tire. The bike tire. That's one of my favorites because it's so goofy that when they call him Spock Herbert and stuff. I am not Herbert.
I love that. Tell him I just recently bought. I recently bought his autograph. I'm going to give it to my brother for a birthday present because probably shouldn't say that. Maybe I have to delete that from this because it's supposed to be a surprise. But because I'm not big on autographs, but every now and then I do like to buy one or two. That depends what it is. And who the fuck is looking for a Charles Napier autograph? But so it didn't set me back too much. But at any rate,
is it from the Star Trek episode?
It is. It's and he signed it in gold and stuff, and it's authenticated and stuff. It's always like $60, and I'm like, I feel bad, I almost wish like you could give the person $200 just to sate, Charles Napier's memory up in heaven. At least I went for more than $50-$60.
Yeah.
But anyway, what are you gonna do? I think my next one is going to be okay. If you look at my shelves or go back to music, there's a CD somewhere in my house, The Best of Rock Ballad Volume 2. There's, if anytime Cinderella, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, or Tesla, Paradise, or like Saigon Kick, Love Is On the Way, there's something I love about those cheesy ballads back in the day because they were so obvious and you're waiting for that fucking lighter moment, Yeah. I don't know that new songs do that anymore. They're hybrids, a lot of them. Even the songs are supposed to be ballads. There's no power ballads anymore. They don't release them like that. It's just a different time. They're now they're like, you might get a duet or something, or it might be a country song. That's the closest you're going to get to that kind of stuff. But anyway,
I saw Tesla a few years ago. They opened for it was Tesla, Joan Jett, and Styx, and I wanted to see Joan Jett because I'd never seen her live before.
Should have been good.
The guy from Tesla was really annoying.
Why?
He just was ridiculous or just annoying. He thought he was like just too cool for the school, and I don't know. It just irritated me.
Maybe he was just pissed off because he was. Was he who? Sorry, who was
the
headlining?
Main singer. Headlining was Styx.
Okay, well maybe he's because he's headlining for Styx. But
opening for Styx, opening for Joan Jett. It went Tesla, then Joan Jett.
Oh,
and
that's
Styx.
why. That's probably why. But you know what? Joan Jett probably put on a better show.
Oh, she did. That's why I was there. I can Styx. I can take a leave Styx, but I like him better. The older I got, the more I like Styx. I hated him back in my new wave punk rock days, but they were good. They were good musicians and everything. But Joan Jett was great. Like I wish that she I was supposed to see her open for The Who, but then The Who got delayed, so she was on tour with Cheap Trick. But I always wanted to see Joan Jett, live. So
Wayne, was that the '82 tour, the Who their first farewell tour?
No, this was the last time they went around. That Roger Daltrey lost his voice, so they backed the concert up 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And by then, Joan Jett was off doing something else. They had something really shitty open for them that was making me fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wayne, what have you got next?
Oh, okay. Well, this is one I don't even know if you guys will know what it is, but I own a CD from her, and I used to watch the show. It was another thing when I used to come home from work in the morning, and it was a kids show, and her name is Xuxa. It's Xuxa, Xuxa.
Okay, I'll look it up.
If you guys look this up, she dressed up as like a majorette, and she was like a real hot chick. And she had all her lackey, I can't even make this up. She was like a hot chick dressed as a majorette, and she had like her gang of like other hot majorettes with her, and it was a kids show, and she'd dance around and stuff like that and sing her songs. But she was like I don't know if you can find a picture of her. She's like this straight blonde hair, like really like Scandinavian type looking girl, but she had like a weird accent. And
she was
the
Brazilian.
thing was, okay, yeah. So
yeah, the show is from Brazil. There's naked pictures of her all over the place. She did porn.
Xuxa Meneghel.
Yeah, I think she did porn.
Wow, really?
I used to remember watching the show back in the day. It used to come on one of the Spanish channels that came on, but I do recall seeing an image of her sucking a dick. So I think she did porn. Like that image is emblazoned in my head that the children's TV show host was sucking dick.
Yeah, Europop, and then they had the American version of the show where she spoke English really bad. But the thing was the creepiest is at the end of the show she'd take lipstick and like put this real bright lipstick on, and she'd say, "Who wants to receive my kiss?" Like that, and then the little kids would stand there scared, and she'd go over and pick like a kid out of it and like give him this big kiss with this red lipstick. And most of the time there was like a little boy that didn't want any part of it, But I used to sit there and watch it because it was such a strange show. And but yeah, it was like her and her army of majorettes, like hot majorettes. It'll just look like a strip club ready to break out, But I'm surprised. Yeah, actually. So you saw it, Derek? You've seen that program?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it used to be on like mornings when I'd come home from work, and I'd sit there and watch that. Then I'd tune into S Club 7 after it.
Wayne, you might find this. You might like this, and Derek, you might be backed up on this. It's called Brazilian National Cinema. It's a book by Lisa Shaw and Stephanie Dennison, and it says here. I'll read this. Xuxa, like many other blonde actresses, continues this day to be dogged by rumors of affairs with men in high places, affairs that she's always denied. It says here, hold on. It would be difficult. Okay.
Pele.
It says it would be difficult in the UK. It would be difficult in the UK or the USA, for example, for an actress who had made an art house porn film in which she performed a sexual act with a prepubescent boy to rise to become one of the most successful children's television presenters.
Wow.
It says
so. Maybe that's why she picked the boys.
I guess so. Anyway, I don't know what the name of the film. There's a bunch of films here listed, and some of it's softcore or whatever the fuck. But either way, it's very possible that picture you're talking about, Derek, might exist.
I never knew that. Like I just thought she was just like I had one of her albums. It's like a Europop album that I came across in Tower Records.
Well, you can't know how fucking happy I was and pissed off that I didn't know about it way younger when I found out that the Jenny, what's her name? Priscilla Barnes, who played Terry in Three's Company, she actually posed for Penthouse back in the day under another name.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
And looked hot as shit. God, thank you, Penthouse. These were no Playboy bullshit photos. But yeah, people with a secret past. I think Cary, if I'm not mistaken, you are next.
Okay. Now this one, it's in my category of, because I had all these things categorized. It's under my internet favorites or internet guilty pleasures, but it was a TV show. It was actually a series. It's all free, available on YouTube now. But it was a BBC series from 1974 called Fall of Eagles, and it's essentially about the time period of the turn of the century before last and the end of World War I, when all those all the dynasties in Europe were basically, all the monarchies were going out the window. And I mean, they had an episode on there of like, and I'm a history buff, but there were certain things that they went over that I'm like, oh my God, I'd never heard of this stuff. And I was going back on Wikipedia and reading up on it. And like, they had this episode of, I guess the reason why, what was it? Who was the Ferdinand, who was killed, that started World War I, the assassination of
Franz Ferdinand. Yeah,
Franz Ferdinand. Well, he was the main emperor of Austria's nephew, but he actually had a son named Rudolph. He was Crown Prince Rudolph, and this guy was married, but he had an affair with like this, 17, 18-year-old non-noble chick, and they had like a suicide pact, and he killed him. They killed each other at a hunting lodge called Mayerling, and it was called the Mayerling incident. And the crazy thing was, they tried to play it off like, oh yeah, it was an accident. He fell or whatever, and they're like, no, he didn't have an affair with this woman. They take the dead chick and prop her up in a carriage and like ride her around town so people could see her in there. I mean, she's dead as a doorknob.
Yeah.
They rode her around so they could see it. But anyway, it's just like these little kind of backdoor historical thing about Nicholas II and the stuff with the Kaiser Wilhelm. They went all the way back to how he had this anti-British thing because his mother was British. And I mean, it just covered that period all the way up, like I said, until 1918 when, he fled to the Netherlands and when the Romanovs got whacked by the Bolsheviks. Patrick Stewart, interesting enough, played Lenin, and they went off. And I mean, it was crazy. So you have Patrick Stewart as Lenin, and there was like an episode and a half of him like debating these other early Bolsheviks and communists at these meetings, and I'm like, and I was thinking to myself, I go, the younger me would have been bored to tears by this stuff, but I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, it's Jean-Luc Picard. Total comedy.
well, it's okay. So basically, guys, for those looking for the nitty gritty, it was made in the 1974. There are 13 episodes. Each one runs about 50 minutes or so. Some pretty good heavyweights in terms of screenwriters here. Two of them that I recognize: Troy Kennedy Martin, who did Z Cars, and Jack Pullman, who did I, Claudius. So as a BBC production goes, I mean, and quite a few others. It was pretty. The quality control is pretty good, and especially at that era of the BBC. A lot of those series they put together were fantastic.
Yeah, it was really well made, and like I said, they're all available for free on YouTube if you want to check them out.
I bet, yeah. Lord, and the names coming through, yeah. A lot of Kurt Jurgens. Wow, he was in The Spy Who Loved Me. He played the heavy.
Yeah, he was Stromberg.
Yeah,
Stromberg. Yeah.
Wow, Jesus! Some of these names. Whew. I'm just looking through each episode. They got full list on Wikipedia. That's great. Derek, what have you got?
Well, I feel like total garbage following up such highbrow fare with what I'm about to start talking about. Mine is a TV show.
The Archies.
Reality show, My 600-Pound Life, which is about morbidly, gigantically obese people who finally are going to go and have the surgery to save their lives. And and I don't like to laugh at them. Somebody who's fought battles with their own weight for my whole life. I'm sympathetic.
Sure.
However, these are quite possibly the worst human beings on the earth who deserve to have their legs turned purple because they have no circulation, who deserve to be ridiculed because they're just dickheads from top to bottom. It's like you weigh 750 fucking pounds. Why then, on your way to the doctor who is about to check you out to set you up for the surgery to get you down to a normal weight, do you need to not only bring a giant bag of snacks, but then stop midway? Because as you say to your girlfriend, baby, we need to stop. I'm starving. I got to stop and eat, baby. I'm starving. And then you get like 2 burgers. It's like he got around 4 separate meals, all large. And then whining because as he's sitting in the outside of the van eating all this shit, people are looking and pointing and laughing. And it's like, because you're disgusting. Why are you doing it?
You guys have all seen that meme of the woman in the Walmart cart, like where the thing is going right up her ass. It looks like a swizzle stick inside in the goblet of wine. You know what I mean? Like it's just lost in her folds.
Is that the one where she can't fit through the doors while she's on her cart?
I'm not sure. But she's tipping at least $500, and she's got these velvet colored, like purple velvet stretch pants, which got to be made from I don't know, titanium to withstand the fucking for the ridges, for the seams not to come apart like that. And when you get, I'm the same. I had weight problems all my life. I was always a chubby kid, not fat. I'm like not super obese. In the States, I might be svelte. I don't know. And even now, I know I could drop a couple. But to get to that level of weight requires so much devotion and dedication to food that I don't understand. Like when I'm full, I'm full. Like I rarely get full anymore. These days, the expression I think was that I tried to remember: never get up from the table without wishing you'd want more. Always wish you had more food, meaning you still got room or you're still hungry. But if you feel full every time you're getting up for a meal, you're doing it wrong, sir.
These people are doing it wrong because you got people who, it's like it was one guy. Oh, no, it wasn't a guy, it was a woman. In the doctor's office, as he's checking her, he found under her folds a bag of potato chips.
Oh, wow.
An empty bag of chips. Was under
do you think that's
fold.
real? But do you think that's real, or do you think that's staged?
I think it's real because those people are. Man. It's like the one woman is saying she can't start her diet because she's pregnant, and dieting while you're pregnant isn't healthy. And she's sitting there with these gigantic sausages on her plate, and what looks like a mountain of potato salad that looks like the mashed potatoes that Richard Dreyfuss was forming in Close Encounters. Just a tower of potato salad. And she's like, oh, I can't start my diet now. It has to wait until after I have the kid. It's like these people don't want to change. And but I think a lot of, because if you look at it,
sorry.
It's like there's 2 kinds of couples in this too. There's the ones who it's 2 fat people who they sat down together and decided we're going to eat our way in this relationship to like massive proportions. But then you get the ones where the one person in the relationship is huge. And then it's like, mostly it's a dude, a skinny guy over here who let his girlfriend get to 800 pounds. And I'm like, dude, why do you keep feeding her?
No, he's afraid of losing her.
That you keep shoveling food in this woman, knowing that she's dying over here. She can't breathe. She can't stand. Come on, man.
Sometimes it's a fetish, believe it or not, you know?
Yeah.
But I think some of them are afraid to lose her, so they want to keep her fat so nobody wants her, so she'll stay with them. But then I saw that, I've seen that episode. There was another one I watched with just a big fat guy, and the father was just, would just go out and get him the food, and the kid was like the rottenest kid going, and the father would just do anything he said. So the father was just helping him along, And but the kid was rotten. He just like bark out orders like, I want this. And then the guy would go get it. Like his father would just go get like big buckets of KFC and just nasty,
But that's how most of them are. They are really like childish when it comes to the food. Yeah. They don't ask for food. They don't say that it's dinner time. What are we having? They say, I need it. Yeah. They get snippy with anybody who's around them who's not immediately getting like a backhoe and dumping like loads of food in front of them. And the best thing about this show is when it's two huge people and one gets the surgery first,
okay,
and they lose all the weight, invariably they're going to dump the one who hasn't had the surgery yet.
Wow.
Because they don't find them attractive anymore.
Well,
they're no longer fat.
Well, have you guys heard of the term is called mukbang? Have you heard of it yet? It's a video of watching people eat food. And basically people pay money on like Twitch or YouTube or streaming service where you interact with people, like they answer questions, what's the food taste like? And it's supposed to, the popularity basically is for people who want to eat, but they don't really want the, what comes with it, which of course, getting fat and all that stuff. So people who seek it they would just escape reality watching someone else eat. I guess it would be like watching a fish tank or something, it's just,
I do know about this.
If you're on a diet to get your mind off, I don't know, actually eating because you're just watching someone eat, and maybe psychologically takes the edge off. I don't know that it would. If I saw someone eating a pizza, I'd want a pizza. That's the way it works.
By and large, the act of eating is not the most aesthetically pleasing thing on the earth.
No, it's not, and it's not a fetish thing as far as I know. It's just really. I think it's especially popular amongst loners, like people who are by themselves or single and decide they want company as well. It's like there was a website called Drinking with Steve. There was a video. I think it was a video, or not, also a website that was selling it. Drinking with Steve, so you don't have to drink alone. You just put a DVD in, and he's sitting at his fireplace, and he's drinking like this, and you're just anyway. Wayne, what do you want to say?
I think I had heard that in Japan they had stations that just had like women that would just stare into a camera for lonely people. They just, she wouldn't do anything, just stare into a camera. Like, this is before the internet and everything. It used to just be like a cable access kind of thing. It would just be a girl that would be on the TV, I guess, for lonely people to look at. I guess it's kind of the same along the lines of the eating in front of people. Have you ever seen that video, the girl who eats anything?
No.
She's like this Chinese girl, and she must have grown up on like a fishing ship, because she'll eat anything, nastiest things going, like just like periwinkle. We call them periwinkles here. They're like little snails that you find at the beach. And she has like a bowl of them and just starts shoveling them in, shells and all. and she eats like a sea cucumber that actually looks pretty sexual, but really nasty. It's really disgusting. Like, just eats anything, like whole, like really nasty looking clam things and stuff like that. But yet, if you type in "girl who eats anything," she's this cute little Asian girl. But it's just the stuff that she eats is just nasty.
Well, sorry to railroad into that one. That's a whole other fetish.
Yeah.
Fetish. My next one is I know people are going to break out the "those guys are fags" clip, but I'm going to go with "Highway to Heaven." It's a show I still enjoy.
Michael Landon show.
Michael Landon.
Was he like an angel?
His third successful sitcom. And so, not sitcom, but I'd say drama, I suppose, with Victor French, who he brought with him from Little House on the Prairie. Because people forget, he was part of Bonanza, and I believe he actually directed some episodes by the end of it, and then probably did some writing, and then owned outright Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven. Artie Lang told a story on the Stern Show, for those of you who are listening and don't know, based on the channel, what we're affiliated with. After the first season of Highway to Heaven, one of the producers of Artie's movie, Dirty Work, told a story about going to see his father, who was friends with Michael Landon. Michael Landon going into the office and just saying, "I just got my first residual check for the first run syndication of Highway to Heaven," and the guy, he pulls out a check for $92 million.
Wow.
92.
Wow.
Because it was family entertainment, and because it was, you could show it in just about any country, just translate it. It was huge. And because he had a piece of every aspect of it, including directing in some cases, and he started it and he created it, he got shitloads of money for it. I don't know. There's something heartwarming about it. Yeah, he's an angel. He's basically there to help people on their way to before they die, or not necessarily. Sometimes it was about helping people change their ways before they died. You know what I mean? Like the husband who's a philanderer or a drug addict or whatever, and trying to make him see the way. But there's one episode where he's in charge of, he's a counselor at a cancer camp. And
he's the Imus.
Well, Michael Landon did have a good head of hair. He goes so near the end. There's this couple that like teenage couple that are about to kiss, and the guy's wig comes off. People don't know that he's bald, he from the chemo and stuff. And then in a twist, the girl pulls her wig off. And then they kiss. These two bald teenagers with cancer kiss. And I remember thinking as a kid, this is a little twisted, but at the same time, I remember thinking, well, how amazing that they're actually showing this. You wouldn't see this in a normal, a sitcom or whatever, or even Family Ties, which is more like in the middle of drama and comedy. But I don't know. I still like it. And Victor French is this fucking curmudgeon. Looks like he's got 10 pounds of chitlins in his beard always. He's got he always looks like he's just been rolled. Victor French, that the guy with the beard.
Is he an angel too? Or?
No, he's just his buddy on Earth driving him around. And anyway, he's there to provide comic relief, I suppose. But it's more drama than anything. I still like it. I still enjoy it.
So why did he need? If he's an angel, he can't fly. He has to have someone drive him around.
Well, no, I don't remember because he was always seen in the intro. You just see him hitchhiking, like Bruce Banner in the Hulk. But then he picks him up. Like he picks him up first, become friends, I guess. I don't know. Can angels not drive? Do you guys remember the film, the Christopher Walken film? What was it that the director from Highlander did it? It became a series. What was it called?
Russell Mulcahy?
Yeah, he the first film with he plays an angel. He plays like Lucifer or something. What was the name of that fucking film? Anyway, it became a series. In the film, Christopher Walken has to reanimate the dead to help him out. So one of them, so every time he needs to drive, he goes, "I can't drive." So he gets what's her name from? Do you remember in Pulp Fiction in the diner scene, Honey Bunny?
The girl, the blueberry.
What's her name?
Pancakes girl? Yeah.
What's her name? Yeah. Fuck. Zoe.
I don't know.
Oh, anyway, so he reanimates her as she's dying from an OD, from a drug overdose. And he goes, "Not yet. Not yet." And she comes out of dying. He goes, she's still in her smock and they're in a diner. And she's like, "I saw the light. It was so good." He goes, and she starts crying and he goes, enough of that. Enough of that. Because he goes, "You could spend an eternity in that skin sack or one more day with me." And so it's a comedic turn. I'll come up with the name later on. But either way, Highway to Heaven, I just fucking love that show. And it was just kind of heartwarming sometimes. I don't know. Call me a fruit. And we are back to Wayne, if I'm not mistaken. Wayne, give us your latest embarrassing guilty pleasure.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just go for a rapid fire thing if this is gonna be the last time around.
Sure. Let's have some comments.
Yeah. So I got like one album that like nobody likes but me is Queen Hot Space. And everybody, like we talked about this before, but Queen Hot Space, I like it. It's electronic. It's like probably the danciest, most electronic Queen album that nobody likes.
Yeah.
But I'll put that against Jazz any day, or like a lot of their other albums. That there's so many good songs on that, But then the other thing I wanted to bring up is I have the rapid fire thing here that I like Erasure better than Depeche Mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the Style Council better than the English Beat. And these are all things that I like the Style Council way better than the English Beat. And actually the new Paul Weller that just came out, it's him going back to like Style Council kind of music. It's actually really good. I got it on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's but it's real. The new Paul Weller album, if you like the Style Council, you're gonna love it. And then the other thing is I like Public Image Limited better than the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, well, that's not. We were talking about that. It's not really that impossible to think about because they were so like such a bigger catalog. Sex Pistols really had one album. Cary?
Yeah. Okay, Wayne. Who do you like out of English Beat and General Public?
Who
do you like more?
Probably. Wow, that's a tough one because I like the English Beat a lot, and I like. And Well, General Public has that one album that's really good, so I'd have to go with the English Beat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, that I'd have to stick with them.
Okay.
Like I like this. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't think General Public. What they have like 2 albums?
They had all the Rage, and then there was one. I think there's one with a monkey on it or something, and I think they had three albums, and then Rankin Roger had his own solo album. I mean,
right.
Not Rankin Roger. What's his name?
Roger.
Rankin Roger. Yeah, it had a green cover. Yeah, his solo album.
No, but then the other guy, wasn't his name? God dang it.
Dave Wakeling.
Dave Wakeling.
Yeah.
That's right. Dave Wakeling. Yeah. But and then the what was it? The guitarist and the bass player left and formed Fine Young Cannibals.
Yeah.
And
they did that two. They did that two men a drum machine. Remember that? I was like tired of getting pushed around. It was like a dance song.
Right.
But, yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
Yeah, that's okay. So that's it for the music stuff or whatever. But and then the other guilty pleasure is like I really like things like Ultraman and like like those kind of really bad kids kind of show things.
Okay.
Like that. But I think that's not so much bad because I think there is a big amount of people that like that stuff.
Okay.
The American Power Rangers stuff was like it was too American. Like I would have rather just watch a Japanese translated original version of those kaiju kind of things with the monsters and stuff.
Well, didn't we talk a little about? I think it might have been Derek, but you all probably knew him better than me. But when we were at the old place, we talked a little about how they edited Battle of the Planets from the Japanese what happened, where there was more like adult stuff that they decided to get rid of, and they came up with that 7 Zark 7. Was awful. Was Power Rangers similar in that way that they were heavily edited or something? Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, they put like those two, like the fat guy and the goofy kid, and then they put like the they had like the American actors. And actually, in all those shows, there's only one woman Power Ranger, but over here, the Yellow Ranger they made into a woman. But
they got to call him Tiny, of course. Cary.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say that's it seems like a common thing. I mean, not too long ago, I saw the original Godzilla in Japanese with English subtitles. It's completely different and a much better movie than the one that was narrated by of all people by Raymond Burr.
Yeah. Well, then they spliced in like American actors like showing stuff on maps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But don't even watch the American version. The Japanese one's so much better.
Yeah.
It's a serious. The Japanese one's a serious movie. I mean,
right.
Okay, I'll just do one last movie. It's a movie that was called The Final Countdown. Did you ever see it? It's like about a aircraft carrier from like I guess would be the 80s. And it goes back in time to World War II.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, I was wondering if the movie was where the Final Countdown song came from.
No, that was before that. But they go back to it goes back to like it's the Nimitz, USS Nimitz, and it goes back in time to World War II. And when I saw that movie as a kid, it blew my mind because there's like a time loop kind of thing in it, and never mind, it's like back then I was like really big into aircraft carriers and fighter jets and stuff like that. But it's kind of a forgotten movie, but I really like it. And actually that's out on Blu-ray too. And if you really look hard, you can find one with the 3D cover that I like, the one I have. It has like the ship going into like the vortex. But yeah, that's another movie out there that's kind of forgotten movie. I think, what's his name's in it? Charlie Sheen. I think he's in it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry,
Cary.
Or maybe Martin Sheen. Maybe it's Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
Martin Sheen. You're right.
Well, Wayne, why don't you just read the rest of them? What you got? If you got too many, just read them all.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I brought up Queen Hot Space. Yeah, that's everything. Then I brought up the Power Rangers. So yeah, that's everything. I'm all
Okay, Cary, how about you?
All right, let's see here.
Because we scratched the surface of yours.
Right. But I'll go through kind of. Well, starting off, I don't know anybody that liked this show. I mean, I had it taped on my DVR at my old place forever, and I think my DVR finally took a crap, and now it's lost forever. But I had every episode of Cavemen recorded. Do you remember that? Okay,
Cavemen.
Yeah. Okay. Remember the Geico Cavemen?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. They made a TV series, and it was you know the actor or comedian Nick Kroll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the cavemen on this show, and it was very short-lived. I think, excuse me.
Yeah, I remember
there were
this.
like 7 or 8 episodes before they finally pulled the plug. But I don't know. It was critically panned. Everyone hated it. The ratings were in the toilet. But I loved every single second of it.
You said that's for me.
Yeah, I was like, this show really speaks to me. I get it. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I just remember hearing that was going to come out and saying they're seriously going to make a show for that. But what was it, like Encino Man kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, sort of. It was like, these cavemen guys that are, like, oh, we were a part of history, and like the show would open up and they would have these, like a picture of Lincoln at like, at a Civil War battlefield shaking hands with a guy in a Union suit that was a caveman, and like one of the guys rowing Washington across the Delaware was a caveman, stuff like that, and it's like, oh, we've been around you guys forever, but it kind of got close to almost to like, oh, we're a minority. And I guess the original premise of the show was really playing off of that. But I guess when they did the test audience thing, people were just reviled by it. So they had to retool the show.
So what they were just ageless. They didn't age.
Well, no. They were like modern day cavemen. Like one of the guys worked at a store that was kind of like IKEA. I mean, it would just put these caveman looking guys.
Oh, okay.
In like these modern situations.
Oh, so there was like they were just always existed, but it wasn't. They didn't. It was just like his ancestors would have been with Washington and stuff.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, not like they were immortal or anything like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just they actually there was I wish I could remember the name of the podcast, or excuse me, the YouTube video. God, I can't even remember the title of the channel, but I'd give the guy a plug. But he did actually a really good kind of synopsis of what that show was all about recently. God, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was really good. And they talked about how they, the original concept of the show was going to be like they were in Atlanta, but it was like, and they were down south dealing with, like one of the guys was dating this like, Southern Belle type chick, and there was, it was like it was too much to like guess who's coming to dinner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember when it was announced that it was going to be on. I remember the announcement, but I never saw it.
Yeah, it was on ABC.
Yeah.
And what's funny is Nick Kroll, like I remember on Twitter, I follow Nick Kroll, and I didn't DM him, but I put his name. I'm like, hey man, really loved you in Caveman. Not one freaking response, not one word.
He probably thinks you're trolling him.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I'm not trolling you. I love that show.
I did the same to David Spade for a film that he'd love to forget, where he plays this existential religious cokehead, and he's in his underwear in the scene, and that's like the only bit. Like Willem Dafoe goes to sell him coke and just listens to him do lines and go, no, that's the Iondine, the 4th century, a different argument. Hold on, wait, listen to this theory. He's all coked up and really speaking fast. It's called Light Sleeper. It's a great film if anybody hasn't seen it. Paul Schrader wrote it and directed it. Same guy who wrote Taxi Driver, and I think he started talking about Joe Dirt on Twitter and saying like, what about this star turn in Joe Dirt? And I go, it doesn't beat the existential cokehead role you played in Light Sleeper, and he retweeted it actually. He liked it.
Wow.
He's probably like, wow, you're the other person who watched it. Okay,
so you're lucky because Nick Kroll he wanted nothing to do with that.
Poor guy. You got to embrace the badness sometimes.
Right.
What else you got on the list?
Okay. All right. So TV, I've got Sanford and Son seasons 1 through 3 only. That was before when Red Fox had that dispute with NBC.
The air conditioner, yeah.
Yeah, like the ones prior to that are obviously the best. The first 3 seasons are far better than seasons 3 through 6. I mean, they were just running on fumes on those later shows. I've also got Ancient Aliens. I just love how every theory is, the way they talk about it. They go, well, is there life on Mercury? Well, some people say there is. Who's to say that there isn't? And it's like, oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe because the temperature is way too hot.
Yeah, but who's to say that there isn't? I mean, it's like every year, any kind of ridiculous theory. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Movies. I've got Prometheus, which we actually talked about it. I think in the previous, the old place. And also, speaking of Dino De Laurentiis, not too many people like Dune from the 1984.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's one of my guilty pleasures.
But I like Blue Velvet. That's my very favorite movie, and he was responsible for that.
Would you call those guilty pleasures though? Because if anything has a huge cult following, I don't think it like Highlander 2 would be a guilty pleasure. The first one straddles the line, but I'd say no because too many people love it.
Well, Blue Velvet definitely. I mean, that's David Lynch. David Lynch directed Dune too, but I don't know. Dune, that '84 Dune is so. I don't know. People either love it or hate it. So it's
I like it.
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag. Okay, so all right, I've got some internet categories here.
Sure, we didn't include it, but by all means, please, I'd love to hear the websites.
All right. I follow a guy. These are all like guys you can find on YouTube or people you can find on YouTube. One guy his name is Lamont at Large, and he's this guy that goes around visiting different cemeteries all over the United States, just totally random. And he goes, just shows like gravestones, usually with like pictures on them, and then every now and then he'll do a little research. Usually on 1 or 2 of the graves, like, somebody that was, murdered or somebody got run over by a bus or something like that. And he'll have like these little blurbs. I don't know why. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but I like subscribe anytime it comes up. I'm like, I'm there, I'm watching it.
Morbid curiosity.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Let's see. They've got a guy you might have heard of, Badlands Chugs. Any of you guys heard of him? He's a famous competitive eater, and and he also could like guzzle stuff. So like he'll,
I do know who this is. Yeah, I do know that. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I'll watch that.
My son turned me on to this guy.
Yeah, I do know who that is.
Like
that's good.
Double barrel shot like 2 liters of Coke Zero, which is apparently hard to chug. And I think he chugged like a gallon of chocolate milk, which is apparently hard to do as well.
Ugh.
So, all right. Then we've got Fresh Out with Big Herc. And Big Herc is this huge brother, but he's got like a very a very soft-spoken voice with a lisp. But you would not want to mess with him.
Any relation to Cool? Any relation to Cool Herc?
He went no. He's a guy. He's from California, and he went to prison on a bank robbery charge, and he also had prior to that he did a couple of porno films, and he recently just did a video. He just did a video on Ron Jeremy and his take on the arrest and everything.
Yeah,
and it was very interesting. Like it was stuff I never thought of. And he goes, he said there are a lot of guys in porn. Like he said, you think that the average guy thinks that these guys are out having sex with these beautiful women at the drop of a hat, and they go, a lot of these guys in porn, that's the only stuff they're getting. That's it. Like outside of being on film, they're not getting anything. And I never thought about that, but I go, you know what?
Yeah.
You're right.
Maybe.
So yeah. But anyways, he's got a bunch of stories. He's got his own vernacular. Like getting beat up in prison means getting your wig split. If you get raped in prison, that means you got your cheeks busted. I mean, it's just like he'll have videos on how not to get your cheeks busted in prison. So I mean, it's really entertaining, but it's actually it's pretty interesting too. Let's see what else I got here. I've got World War II in real time with a guy named Indy Nidell. This guy, he just goes kind of day for day almost on like World War II. He started like, oh God, it's been a few months, but he started like from like pre-World War II, and he just kind of moves up and goes over stuff that not just the main stuff like D-Day and stuff like that. I mean, he goes into this stuff in minute detail, almost like I said. It's at least, I think he does one video a week or at least one every 2 weeks. So it's pretty interesting. All right. So, okay, music, just quickly. I was a big Culture Club fan.
Yeah, me too. No, me too.
Depends on the
Yeah, me
album.
too.
Do you have Waking Up with the House on Fire like on display?
Yeah. No, not on display.
Well,
I own
it takes me back to like when years ago when I was living at home. I think I was in college, like freshman year of college, and I was watching videos with my mom, and Do You Ever Want to Hurt Me? The video comes on, and I go, wow. I go, man, that chick can kind of sing, but she sure is ugly. Gee. And of course it's Boy George. I had no idea.
Yeah, me too.
Some little bits of trivia. First of all, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me is an ironic song because him and John Moss, the drummer, I think, had like a very abusive, fruity relationship. And also, later on, I believe it was with Pete Tong. Wayne, you probably know this. Do you remember The Annual? The Annual is... Pete, it's The Annual is a CD or series of like techno stuff.
Yep.
And there's a club in Bangkok. There might be one in New York. I'm not sure, but they were dance clubs basically, just called The Annual. Yeah. And Boy George ended up getting into DJing big time.
Yeah.
I
have those
as
albums,
a career. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
He had
life.
like that Jesus Loves You. That was another thing. And but yeah, no, I have the New Culture Clubs right across the room from me. I still like them. I'm a big fan. That Boy George biography, the Boy George biography is one of the most interesting biographies out there.
Yeah.
Probably next to the Johnny Lydon one. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good follow on Twitter too. He's actually a pretty interesting guy. Yeah.
Well, Mark Allman and him pissed off a lot of people because they said some stuff about trans people. Because they're kind of old school, and so it's weird when when Mark Allman and Boy George become conservative compared to the way things are now. But Boy George he has a way of diffusing things too with humor, and he's very witty, and he always says something that interests me.
Yeah.
But
let's see the
Culture Club.
I can tell you when I was in high school, my gaydar was just way off because I was also a big total Village People fan, and I was just like, man, these guys are great, I was totally into
all the Village People songs were so gay though. Like, how can
Macho fan.
Past YMCA, they did a song called San Francisco.
Yeah,
like, all the lyrics
Key West.
basically thinly veiled. This is where you go to fuck other dudes.
And Key West. Key West was
you got to think about it. I was a kid growing up in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm like, okay, well, I've been to the YMCA. I played basketball there. That's cool. I mean, San Francisco. I'm like, yeah, that's a nice town. And I didn't know anything about Fire Island or Key West.
Yeah, cruising. The album's called Cruising.
Well,
exactly.
Joey Diaz. I love Joey Diaz in the Church of What's Happening Now, but he has this great. There's one clip. I don't know if it's still on YouTube. Somebody just cut it perfectly, where he says his little daughter is like, I don't know, 5 or something. She said, "Daddy, what's gay?" And he said, "Dog, I just took my first hit in the morning. I was not ready for this shit." So I showed her a video of YMCA by the Village People.
Oh man, I can remember me and my brother. Let's see, I bought the YMCA album, and I think it was called. God, was it called Go West?
Yep.
That was one of their albums. Yeah, and then my mom gave him the money. He bought the Macho Man album, and we had like a Village People poster in our room. You know.
Well, know what happened with me?
But I had no clue. I had no clue.
I didn't either. When they first came out, I thought they were cool because they dressed up like tough guys, and I had no idea. So I remember I was like, for my 10th birthday, I remember I wanted that album. And then one of the guys, he's like, "Oh, what are you getting for your birthday?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to get the Village People album." And the kid's like, he's like, "Oh, they're gay." It's like, what's that mean? So I went home and asked my parents what gay was. And when after they told me, I told them, I was like, "No, I don't want that album anymore. I want the Yellow Submarine soundtrack." So I ended up getting the Yellow Submarine soundtrack for my 10th birthday, and no Village People.
That's way.
Because after they told me what gay was, I'm like, ugh, I own all those albums now, and I love the humor because it's so it's right there, and it's like, how could you the music's great, the production's great, but the songs are so, I mean, you can't not hear YMCA. I always laugh at when people do it at weddings. It says, you can be with the boys, you can have a good time. You know, no man does it all by himself. And it's all right there.
No, I mean, I remember that song. They had a song in their album, one of their early albums called Fire Island, and there's a lyric
Fire
in
Island.
there it's like, "Don't go in the bushes, something might grab you," and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? I had no clue.
There's like my roommate. There's songs about drugs, about taking drugs, like Ups and Downs. Right. It's like I have my ups and downs. It's like about taking drugs,
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting? The original lead singer was married to Phyllis Rashad. Yeah. Yep. And so he wasn't gay, and neither was the motorcycle guy. Those two.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Those two guys were straight. And the rest of the guys were gay.
Really, the Greg Hughes or whatever? I thought he was gay as they came.
No. I read somewhere that he wasn't.
I always heard. I heard the two. I knew the two cops. There's two different cops or whatever, and I knew both of them weren't gay. But the Greg Hughes guy, I don't know. Have you ever seen the Village People movie?
Oh, no. Can't Stop the Music.
Okay, now I might as well bring this one. I have that on DVD. But the thing is funny, right? Is like you watch it. It's like the thing's speeded up. It's weird. It's got a real weird speed to it. And also Bruce Jenner's in it. Like
probably a nod to the probably a nod to the poppers.
Yeah, right. But the Bruce Jenner's running around in the whole movie wearing like these little shorts. Yeah. And I remember I just recently showed it to my girlfriend, and this is before any of the Bruce Jenner stuff was going on. And and I was saying, man, he really looks really gay in this movie. And this is before any of this happened. That's how I showed it to him maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. But yeah, it's a funny movie. It's really funny.
I know exactly what you're referring to though, because I had read somewhere because Glenn Hughes passed away a few years ago. And I had read somewhere they go, no, he wasn't gay. But then I saw a clip. I saw a clip after that of Can't Stop the Music. And if you hear him talk and his mannerisms, it's like, man,
He has an excellent.
Gay.
He does like an op.
According to his Wikipedia entry, it says that he got his character from the gay BDSM leather bars in San Francisco and the sex club, the Mine Shafts dress code, a club that Glenn frequented a lot.
Oh. Well, it sounds like he was just there for research. Come on, guys.
In the video, Wayne, you'll like this. In the video for Body Language, Queen, there's a guy, it's like an extra in the video, who's wearing a Mineshaft T-shirt. I think you can see it there. Yeah, they're promoting it clearly. Like we didn't know when I Want to Break Free came out. I wondered what the deal was. What else have you got, Cary? Let's go.
Actually, that video wasn't shown in America. The I Want to Break Free.
Yeah, because everybody thought
it's really, and it wasn't even Freddie Mercury's idea to do it. I think John Deacon or one of them came up with the idea to be in drag. So and then Freddie took the beating for it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Fillmore, that's about it for me.
Okay, then Derek, can we go on to your list?
Okay, rapid fire. Piggybacking off of Cary's Culture Club thing.
Okay.
I was a fan of Culture Club, like most of the world, but I also was a fan of Boy George's solo career. He had a couple of pretty decent hits. The Crying Game song.
Yeah.
He had a song from this really shitty movie about a robot that fell in love with, I think, Virginia Madsen.
Oh, that's
from
that's
the
Electric Dreams. That's Electric Dreams. Yep.
He did the soundtrack for that, and there are a couple of decent songs on there.
Love is Love.
He had a foray into New Jack Swing with a song that was actually a awesome club banging song that they played a lot in the 90s.
Don't take my mind on a trip.
Don't take my mind on a trip. Produced by Teddy Riley. So Boy George had a pretty decent solo career, so I was a fan of that. Sticking to music, I love yacht rock. I mean, I listen to it and I immediately want to throw on a Hawaiian shirt, some boat shoes, snort a couple of lines of coke, and
what is it like?
And listen to Ambrosia.
Is it like Christopher Cross and stuff like
that?
Yeah,
okay, Christopher Cross, Kenny Loggins, Air Supply, Steely Dan, lots of Steely Dan.
Big time. Okay.
Blame It on Rio.
That's a good movie. Yeah, that's a good movie.
That's a film that would totally Me Too Michael Caine today.
Oh yeah.
That film.
And Joseph Bologna. Could never ever be made in the current climate.
No, but not a chance.
For when it was made, it's basically like a early 80s, late 70s porn film where they took out all the sex.
Yeah.
And even the soundtrack sounds like it's a porn soundtrack. Oh, what's up, Cary?
Oh, I was just going to say it's got a very young
Demi Moore.
The very young Demi Moore. And
pre-implants.
Pre-implants. And the main actress is actually the trivia. She's from Phoenix.
Michelle Johnson.
Yeah.
Jinx.
She is flawless in that, by the way.
Oh, she looked amazing. Could not act worth a damn. Every line that she spoke seemed like she was reading it for the first time. But it's like it's just a great weird movie. You're supposed to think these hot women in Brazil and this 18-year-old smoke show is interested in old ass Michael Caine. Michael Caine, who says in pretty much any interview that he's asked about it, he only did it for the free vacation to Rio and because it paid for like his third house or something.
Yeah,
and you could tell he was very disinterested through the whole movie. He didn't want to be there. He didn't care. Yeah. I love that.
That movie reminds me of. Do you ever see a movie called Summer Lovers? Where I think they go to Greece on a vacation, in a guy and a girl, and they meet a second girl. So it's like two girls and a guy. Do you ever see it? It's called Summer Lovers.
Is it softcore porn or is it like like a rom-com? Not a rom-com, but like 80s.
Yeah, it would have been like an 80s, like not softcore porn, but it shows you get a lot of skin in it though.
Yeah.
Peter Gallagher movie? I remember Peter Gallagher made a movie that sounds familiar to that, where he was in some foreign country running around on the beach a lot, and all the women were topless, like 90% of the time.
Well, I know he goes on vacation with his girlfriend, and they meet another girl, so then it was like the three of them. And the soundtrack was really good, too. It was the first time I heard Depeche Mode.
Okay. Derek, what else you got?
Okay, so got one. Nicolas Cage has like this weird direct to streaming career where, and probably the last 2 years, Nicolas Cage has made close to 20 movies.
Yeah.
Just churning them out like he's a first year porn actress. Just like movies after movies because he's got to pay off the IRS.
He's got bills to pay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But within that mishmash of garbage, there's like always these little gems that he's got. And there's like 5 movies just in the last year that he made. Like one is Kill Chain, Mandy, Color Out of Space, think the other one's Mom and Dad, and I'm blanking on the other one. But like really good movies that you wouldn't give a second thought to because the artwork for them is always like like they had a high school graphics student create the cover art for the movie and everything. But they're actually decent movies, and it's a shame that he's making all these movies because he has to, and that some of them are pretty decent and no one pays attention to them.
Yeah.
But I love the garbage that Nicolas Cage has been spitting out for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Okay. I'm old as fuck, but I like teen TV shows. You give me a TV show where a bunch of 30-year-olds are playing a bunch of 15-year-olds having like all these romantic entanglements and emotional issues and all that type of stuff, I will set my DVR and watch that every week. And if you add like superpowers or some magic and vampires into that shit, it's like you got me hooked. That's
Sold.
all it takes. So, and there you go. That's it.
Okay.
That's my list.
I'll try to run through them as fast as possible, which may not be possible. Project Runway.
Oh, wait, is that with Tyra Banks?
Well, no. It might have been, I think, Heidi Klum. Next Top Model, I think, was Tyra. And the gay guys on that show were so during the time we were watching it, they were so fucking entertaining, like catty in the right way and just the right amount of it. And then the projects that they put together, even me not knowing anything about fashion, going, who the fuck? I know that fashion's supposed to be avant-garde, but some of this stuff is beyond gay. You could smell the fucking semen in the designs, and I just remember thinking like, I know that looks like shit, and I'm not a fashion designer. Why don't they know it? And, some of this is all staged and stuff. It's reality television. But because my wife loved watching it, I got into it a little. Sorry. Top Gun, which is, no self-respecting film buff should ever own or like or watch. Yet I can quote every line. Yet I can quote every line from the movie.
Yep.
Okay. Two more films, both by the same person. Van Damme, I love his entire oeuvre. I love his almost every film of his I can watch. But there's when he got into direct to video or direct to DVD, whatever it was called at that time, he did two films. One of them was called Inferno or Desert Heat, which was John Avildsen directed it, and it was an offshoot. It was meant to be a tribute to Yojimbo. He goes out into the desert and he's going to kill himself. And Danny Trejo plays his army buddy who's his ghost from his voice from the past that helps him along. And then he decides to take out this gang in the middle of a town. It's a ripoff of Yojimbo basically. And Jamie Presley's in it, and it's funny as shit. Yeah, and Pat Morita is in it as well. You have to watch it. And then there's another one he did with Michael Rooker, who plays a cop, called Replicant. And he basically plays a clone. He's cloned out of a serial killer, and he's used to track down the serial killer. And he gets to play a bad guy, and that one's really good. And so music. I think I'm done for TV. Music. The single "Mama" by the Spice Girls. I don't know why. It's just call me fag. It's okay. Enigma's Greatest Hits. The Love Devotion, something like that.
Do you know who she Sandra? Remember the first Enigma song? Her name is Sandra. She was her husband was the guy that did the music for Enigma.
Oh, really?
She did a song called Maria Macarena or something like that. Maria Magdalena. It was like it's a Europop song. She was really big Europop singer before she did Enigma, but it was her husband is the guy that did the music for Enigma.
Yeah.
Her name is Sandra.
Never knew. The only two songs I really liked, I only got it for the two songs, the Return to Innocence and the one that was on the in the film Boxing Helena. I think it's called Sadness, the Gregorian chant one. Yeah. I love that track. I still love it.
Yeah.
And then last but not least is Yanni live at the Acropolis.
Oh God.
And his image at that time was so laughable. Bow tie, white shirt. He looked like a maitre d' at a shitty Greek hotel, and long hair. And Linda Evans is in the front row because he's still dating her at the time. There's the video which has a few extra cuts, and I have the CD somewhere, probably back in Canada. And I actually do enjoy it because it's actually, as I started getting more into different genres of music, I realized he was throwing in world music where it didn't necessarily belong, but it worked anyway. And then he would throw in like mock opera. So because he was pretty gifted, and he was actually an Olympic swimmer for Greece. Yes, Cary.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought it would be either that or maybe Zamfir, the master of the pan flute.
But he also did in the early Sirius, first year of Sirius, he did an interview with Howard that was fucking great.
I remember that.
Do you remember that one where they started playing the David Lynch quote? They playing his music and also, I like to kill deer.
Yeah.
Fred throwing a drop in the
was
middle
really
of
funny.
Yanni's song. And then they were doing because he wrote the theme for the Olympics, Yanni.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, right? And so he makes bank on that. And at one point they started adding lyrics. So Howard's going, no Jews in the Olympics. Shit like this. And anyway, it was funny to listen to. And he gave it back to Howard, and he was a fucking good sport. And you'd think a guy like this wouldn't have a sense of humor, but he was fucking fantastic. Artie was throwing stuff at him. He loved it. Yeah,
that's when the show was good, when they'd have somebody like that in that you wouldn't think they'd be interesting, and he made him interesting.
Oh,
I remember him saying, that guy's name's not Yanni, his name's Johnny. I know it, you know.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Yeah.
But it is Yanni. It's I can't remember his last name, but he's from Kalamata, and he's a funny guy. Anyway, he told a story about going to a hooker when he was like 14 or 15, and he saved up all the money his piggy bank for it, and he said she looked like his aunt. He goes, it wasn't really. He goes, I wanted it over as quick as possible. So, are there any more that we have forgotten? You've all forgotten in the interim to wrap it all up.
I know. Like, just looking at my list now, I think I hope I didn't say this, but it's like when I was saying that I like the Style Council better than it should have been the Jam. And I know someone's going to jump on that, but yeah, the Jam. But then we talked about the English beat, anyways. But I think I wrote the beat. Like on the paper, it said the beat. But yeah, like again, I said check out the new Paul Weller. That's my plug for that album.
I could have done a whole thing on ska music in general. I can remember being in college when that stuff was popular, and like I remember wanting to kind of really get into it, but like none of my friends, nobody I knew was into that type of music, so I just kind of, and I didn't go out and buy a pair of Doc Martens or anything like that because they looked uncomfortable. So. I just
I still have mine.
Guys are definitely gonna have to wrap this one up because we're going extra long. So thank you all for participating, and I want to thank everybody for listening to Radio Karate. We're going to be back with the next one, not sure when, but I think the theme was most punchable faces in Hollywood. We're going to take a second stab at that. So on behalf of Wayne, Cary, and Derek, and Shawn, we miss you in absentia. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys for participating, and we'll see you on the next one.